Hey guys, we are going back to take a look at some more NECA Godzilla figures, and we're going to start things off with a look at the most recent American Godzilla. So we've got the legendary Godzilla from a few years back. We have got it in basically the standard NECA packaging, although this guy is a little bit different. So you see him there in the big clamshell, but on the back he actually has a shot of himself and not the classic Godzilla. And then the back of the box just has another product shot as well as a bit of a bio. So let's pull this guy out and take a look. Alright guys, here he is out of the package, our legendary Godzilla, the 2014 Godzilla. So this guy is pretty interesting. He is very, very similar to the other Godzillas in this line, but obviously he's also very different at the same time. There's some good and there's some just kind of when I think about this figure. If you're interested in snatching one up for yourself, you can still get this guy on Big Bad Toy Store. I will put a link down below. That's where I got mine, because he's not a recent Godzilla figure. He is he's one of the older ones in the line. I'm still getting caught up to speed on this line in general. But as far as this figure goes, he is pretty standard. There's not a great deal to talk about in terms of articulation, so we're going to run through that real quick. The head can swivel and the neck also moves a little bit as well. No real up or down. The jaw does move, but only a little. This guy has an incredibly small head. I mean, that's the way this Godzilla is designed. So the jaw only moves so much. The arms can rotate. They can go out a little bit as well. We do have a single joint at the elbow, and then we've got a ball peg at the wrist to allow for a little movement, you know, side to side, and then it rotates as well. This Godzilla is kind of known for using its arms a little more, you know, when it rips the mouth of the Muto open to breathe the atomic breath down its throat, you know, it has to use those arms. So this guy seems a little more mobile, especially in what would be the shoulders, which is kind of nice. We do have a diaphragm swivel, but it doesn't do a whole lot. I imagine this is mostly more for construction's sake than to be able to be moved. The legs can go out a little bit. They swivel, and then of course they kick out when you swivel them. We do have a single joint at the knee, but it doesn't really move a great deal. And then we've got a swivel down at the ankles as well, so you can kind of bob them back and forth and swivel. Not tons of movement. I mean, it's a big hulking Godzilla figure, so it's kind of what I expect in terms of this line. As far as the tail goes, it rotates at the base, and then it rotates at the segments as well. And then this piece is a bendy piece, so you can, you know, move this around a bit, and you have to peg this in yourself. And I gotta tell you, that's the one aspect when it comes to all these Godzilla figures that I really don't like, because of all these spikes on their back. You're like cramming them into your hand while you try to force this thing in there. I've had that problem with pretty much every Godzilla figure. This one was by far the hardest so far. It just took a lot of work and some heat to actually get that thing in there, but once it's there, it's not coming out, that's for sure. So he does move about as well as I would expect. Nothing too crazy, nothing more or really any less than the other Godzilla figures. They are all slightly limited because of what they are. They're gigantic atomic lizards. Now, as far as the sculpt on this guy and the overall look and feel, I'm pretty happy with the way he looks, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean he's my favorite or anything like that. This isn't my preferred Godzilla look. It's my preferred Godzilla look if we're talking about American Godzillas, that's for sure. I really was a fan of this movie, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm looking forward to the second one. But this Godzilla look doesn't really do a great deal for me when I compare him to classic Godzillas or, you know, even Shin Godzilla. That I absolutely love that design. And I think a lot of the design for this particular Godzilla is kind of a problem when it comes to figures. A lot of stuff is really lost on him. He just looks kind of like a big black and gray mass, which isn't necessarily a good thing, because there is plenty of shading and paint all over this figure, all over the chest and down here towards his crotch and on the legs, but a lot of it just seems to get lost. And his head is so small that there's not a lot going on up here either. He has a few teeth. You can see that the tongue is in there. It's painted. His eyes are incredibly small. And that's not a good look for me. So it looks fine and it looks correct. I'm not saying that. I love the row of spikes down his back, because he has a ton of jagged spines that run down his back. Again, they are pretty sharp, so watch out when you're putting this tail on. I love the fact that they do the bendy wires in the tails. So, you know, he looks fine. I think he's sculpted well. NECA does a good job with these figures for sure. I just don't know that this one translates all that well, just because of how absolutely dark he is. And it's something about it that kind of just turns me off. Other than that, though, I mean, I think he looks pretty cool. I like the different style feet we've got for this particular Godzilla. It kind of looks looks like a big hoof that he's got down there. And we do have slightly gripping hands, so you can put some stuff in his hands. You know, if you've seen my reviews, you know I like to put like beer cans and stuff in these figures' hands for some reason. I just think it's funny. So, you know, he can hold on to stuff. He can hold on to other characters' accessories and things like that. Of course, this guy doesn't come with any. It's a Godzilla figure. Most of them do not come with any effect pieces. I wish they would. I wish it wasn't just a select few that had them, because this guy I think could definitely have used an effect piece to just kind of add a little more oomph to the package. So yeah, overall this is a pretty decent figure. I don't think he's definitely at the top of my list as far as NECA Godzillas go. In terms of design, I think it leaves a little bit to be desired, and that's not NECA's fault. That's the way that Godzilla looks. I just think that there's a lot of detail that's lost in this thing because it's so dark, and there's really not a lot to bring out that sculpt. It's a lot of muted colors, blacks and grays, and everything is kind of hidden in there. Not to mention the fact that his eyes are so tiny and his head is so tiny compared to some of the other Godzillas that he just looks like a humongous hulking body that's walking at you. It's still a decent figure though. It's pretty well articulated. It's pretty much in line with all these other Godzillas. I just prefer the classic look, so I'm always going to be kind of biased in that regard. But that's going to do it for this look at the legendary Godzilla from NECA Toys. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.